Hey guys, it's your boy Wolfie, and today we're going to be discussing building a team comp and how this affects your picks. Now, before we get into the video, if you guys have been enjoying the content, which you guys have been amazing for, thank you guys very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, smash the like button, and drop a comment. If you got anything to say about the video, how it helped, it didn't help, what I could do better, let me know. I'd love to hear it. If you guys would prefer to have a more live response, feel free to stop by the Twitch. We stream 6 days a week between 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. And feel free to ask me anything there. Even if it's about the YouTube video, I have no problem responding. Or you can just at me on Twitter. I would probably respond to that too. But thank you guys very much for watching. All right, so I'm a firm believer that most people that play this game really have no idea how to build team comps. They normally pick characters based on like if they're OP, if they saw someone on the stream do it, if they saw someone in the SPL do it, flavor of the month, or they may just be picking their favorite character. And in most cases, this is probably okay, especially if you're in casuals, especially if you're in a lower MMR rank game, especially if you feel like you're better than the entire enemy team. But eventually, you're going to be playing against someone who's equal skill in you, for whatever reason, right? And in those kind of situations, you can kind of determine who wins purely off picks, just because there are some characters that work better with their team and there's characters that counter others. It's just how the game works. Oftentimes when you watch SPL games or even high rank games, you can determine who's going to win purely off the picks and bans. It's extremely important as you get better in the game. So first off, the biggest rule that I can give someone for this as an advice is basically pick off synergizing with your team over picking something that counters the enemy team. You want to make your team fight better as a whole rather than making the enemy teams worse. It's kind of a hard concept, and in some cases it doesn't make sense, but like I'm gonna try to explain it the easiest way I possibly could. So you don't want to pick a Wheelix because the enemy team has a Scylla in middle and a Basta in jungle. That's not why you want to pick a Wheelix. You want to pick a Wheelix because your team has a middle Vulcan and you have a Sobek and someone that knocks up in dual lane. That's great for a Wheelix because now you can use your ult on a more reliable source of a knockup. You don't have to just get behind them and knock up and wait for them to jump away and hope they don't have beads, right? You can pull off the Hebo knockup or the Vulcan knockup or the Sobek knockup on whenever it happens. This will have a much more desired effect for you. You'll be able to play together, and it works better to focus on you guys doing something right rather than the opponent doing something wrong. Does that make any sense? I'm hoping that makes sense. As like that's like the best example that I can bring up in my mind right now. Well, this is kind of like the poster child of like the situations, right? So that's the first rule. Pick towards your team. Now, what a good thing to do is after figuring out your synergy for your team, you can pick out a certain roster of characters. Let's say like your characters need CC, right? So I can go Hunbats, I can go Dodgy, I can go like Erlang. These are all CC characters, right? And you just got to pick based on what the enemy team has, right? So let's say I can go all these characters. Our team has a lot of CC, which means I'm going to get value on these characters' ults, right? But I see the enemy team has a lot of knockups, right? They have like, again, we could say a Hebo, we could say a Vulcan, whatever. They have a lot of knockups. So I'm going to go to my head and I'm going to be like, well, Dodgy works for my team extremely well right now. And she's good against knockups. Now I pick Dodgy. Now I also counter the enemy team, but I'm also building towards my team. That's how you counter, right? So another good example is you see Afro in middle, right? And you always wonder how these guys pick things that work with Afro, right? A little tip, when you're playing with a healer, your best bet is to go something a little more tanky than normal. Contrary to popular belief, picking more healers on top of a first pick healer isn't the play. It just makes anti-heal stronger against you. It just nullifies more abilities on your team. You're not just going to out-heal anti-heal. It will literally just hurt your team. If you really want to help a healer, you will pick something that's more tanky so you don't get bursted. So they always have a chance to bring you back up. So for this situation, let's say the enemy team has Poseidon and your team picked an Afro second pick. What's a great pick to go against that? Robin. Why is Robin such a good pick? He's a little tankier than normal assassins. He has his invulnerability with his 2. He has good rush down. And again, he can build some tank items. He's one of the perfect fits for Afro because of this. And he's amazing against Poseidon because he can just immune his ult. These are the things you think about when you play. You don't only think to counter the enemy team, you build towards your team, and then if you can counter the enemy team, you do it. You will always get more benefit synergizing with your team before countering the enemy team. So let's go back into a little more for the team comp. So like we said before, with healers in mind, right? You don't want to build a team comp with 7 healers. It doesn't work. Not only that, you can only have 5 people. What am I saying 7 for? That, besides that fact, the more healers you have, the easier it is to counter your team. Oftentimes, heals take an entire ability slot and they do nothing else. So when you have 2 or 3 healers and they have full anti-heal and cursed onk, you're kind of losing almost a full character worth of abilities because now your heals don't work and they're going to proc a damage debuff on your team that's going to make them take 20% more damage if the enemy team has cursed onk. So, just like I said before, your idea is to build someone a little tankier than normal so they can actually go in, do some damage, come back and get a heal and not get one shot. You don't want to build full damage when you have a healer on your team because of this, right? Another team comp is the CC team comp, right? While it's very important to have things like stuns on your team, right? Diminishing returns is crazy. So it's perfectly fine to have 1 or 2 characters in the team that have regular CC that just has diminishing returns. But after you get stuff like that, it's really important to pick abilities that ignore diminishing returns. Abilities that ignore diminishing returns are such things as Nox abilities because they happen as long as they're on the field. Humbat's ult, Kazembo dash, Kazembo ult, all knockups in the game. Tier Fearless, things like this ignore diminishing returns. They're great, even though some of them will proc a stack of diminishing returns. In the end of the day, these ignore it. So the more CC you see on your team, think about what you can pick that might ignore the diminishing returns, and you'll see a great investment and return on that during the game. Now, what I do see people do a lot is when they see CC team comps, they fall into this trap where they don't understand the difference between a pick comp and an AoE team fight comp. Now, if you see a bunch of AoE team abilities, do not go for pick characters unless you're like a jungler. Jungler can do whatever they want because they normally pick people off on their own anyway. But especially as support, if you see a bunch of like AoE abilities and team fight abilities, do not go a character like Fafnir. All you're going to do is try to force a play style that your team doesn't work with. Pick based on your team. Hey, we have a bunch of AoE. Yo, Geb seems great here. Cerberus seems great here. We just got a lot of AoE. And don't pick displacement when you have characters like Ra and Thoth and then complain that they can't hit their abilities. If you're Kazembo knocking people out, of course it's hard to land Kraken and Ra ult. Duh! Pick stuff that's gonna keep people still, right? So pick based on your team and what hurts the enemy team. If the enemy team is kind of picking a team fight comp and you know they're gonna try to force 5-man, pick a better 5-man comp. Don't go for picks. If you see that their team is built with 4 physical damage and 1 magic damage, build some physical protection and pick a pick comp that kills their mage like this. This is a great situation for characters like Fafnir and Serket to just kill their their mage, so they have absolutely no magic damage while you guys are stacking physical protection so you can just instantly win. That is a great like team fight style gameplay to just screw over the enemy team comp. You have to make these decisions while you're doing these picks and bans. Don't just pick stuff because you had a good game with it a couple days ago or a couple of games ago. Learn what works based on your team, right? That's why that works. That's why I usually get mad when I see Fafnirs on my team that don't fit the comp, right? It's also why Ganesh it sometimes feels ridiculously good and other times feels horrible. If you're going for a pick comp, go for the pick comp. Don't go part AoE comp, part pick comp. It never works. It clashes. You guys want to do different things, and the team fight won't work. Right now, let's talk about something as we're going into this topic. Now, there are team comps that counter other team comps. Yes, there's rushdown comps. There's kiting comps. There's CC comps. There's tons of them. Understand it. Normally, you can go a full comp that's based on rushdown. You can go a frontal, like you can go something like hell and just dive in with your team and not have to be from behind. Or what we're seeing in games now where they're picking Nox, right? Nox is a great kiting comp, right? And what that is that they don't really have a jungler like that dives in the back line. They don't really have a warrior that's going to dive too far back unless he does and he's just crazy. But your idea is you want to make them chase after you and kill them as they chase after you. You just make it really hard for them to dive in, right? This is kind of harder to win in ranked games. It's better in the higher, like, buzz. It's harder to win in ranked games because you're kind of relying on the enemy team to play a certain way. Rushdown comps technically do better in like ranked and stuff like that because it's unorganized, and rushdown comps are harder to deal with when you're unorganized, which is why solo lanes usually go warriors in ranked. Yeah, but all right. So just like I told you before, right? To pick towards your team synergy more than picking towards countering the enemy team, right? Because countering the enemy's team comp is better than countering individual characters. So if you see a team that's fully based on having a hell, your best bet is to have a rushdown comp. In 90% of the time when you're against healers, your best bet is either also healing or having a rushdown comp. Why? Because when you're popping Curse Knock and you're popping your anti-heal, it's only effective when you're in combat. If you guys reset, that means they're going to heal and fight you guys at a higher HP than you guys are. And eventually they're going to win the battle of attrition. So you want to pick the rushdown comp, which is characters like Vamana and Sobek and characters like that who are trying to run in and do stuff. They're trying to kill you in that team fight before you can reset, let your debuffs run off, and re-heal and engage. This is a perfect example of picking a team comp that stops the enemy team. Just like we talked about having a pick comp to pick off their one physical carry or their one magical carry because they have 4 physical, 4 magical. Pick comps are great in this situation because you can knock out their actual threat and kill that person really fast, and then just focus on the other characters that you are building the protections for, right? So if you have all physical protection items and no magical damage items, it doesn't matter because the magical damage is dead already, right? Cool. Things like this will win you games more often than just saying, hey, I'm going to pick Robin because they have a Poseidon. Yeah! Counter them as a group, and in these kind of situations, you will win. Now, there's also a specific type of a scumbag style of play that some people are a little popular for that nobody likes to play against. It's split push comps. Characters like Apollo and Loki, etc., whatever, old Loki, where their whole job is to literally split your team up. And what this means is that they're not confident in fighting you in a 5v5, but they are way better at fighting you in a 1v1, a 2v2, and a 3v3. So they're perfectly fine with staying on a lane by themselves and forcing a 1v1. These comps are annoying and they take a lot of coordination to beat, which is why they're very, very, very scary in ranked games. This is a 100% viable strategy. It is definitely a viable strategy to literally avoid team fights the whole time, but you have to build according to it with your entire team. If your team is trying to build team fights and you're trying to build towards split pushing, you're probably going to lose the game because they're just going to force a 4v5 or a 3v5 while you're split pushing and just end. That's how it usually works, right? The best characters for these things are characters that can go and help you in the team fight even though they're split pushing. Churn, Apollo, etc. These characters are great for these situations. There was literally entire metas defined by these global ults. They're definitely viable. You definitely play them. And this is just another team comp that can be used. You just got to think about characters that can maybe either just guarantee a 1v1 or characters that can just say, all right, I'm out. I'm going to help my team. Giannis, big character that does that, even though he's fallen out of favor for a lot of people. Yeah. Make your team comp goal oriented, and like I said before, build towards synergy before countering the enemy team. It is a good idea to figure out a team that works against the enemy team. Though this is where the whole mind game of picks and bans goes, to like guess what they're gonna pick based on what they're picking. This is why I don't mind that picks and bans takes like 5 to 10 minutes. It's a whole other aspect of the game that people just ignore, right? Cool. So I hope, I know I haven't been throwing characters in here to just like get you into this. It's because I want you guys to figure these things out yourself. I'm trying to throw out these type of comps and like what they're aimed at, to try and get you guys to figure out these characters for yourself. I want you guys to think for a bit. I don't want to just feed you the information and say, here, guys. Right? So think about this. Look at characters, be like, hey, what characters have diminishing returns? What characters ignore diminishing returns? What characters are really good for picking off targets? What team comps am I against, right? I can name tons of them. But your standard games will normally have either a pick comp, a healing comp, a rushdown comp, a kiting comp, or random rank comp with 50 different characters, or a split push comp. And it's very, very important to be able to like understand when you're going to see a split push comp or anything. By the way, if you see a split push comp, for the love of God, solo, please buy teleport. You need this. This is how you stop split pushing comps. So if you see things like Apollo, Loki, whatever the hell, Giannis, you can potentially lose the entire game because you don't have teleport to defend the lane. Stop being selfish. All right. So again, just pay attention to the game. Look at your team comps. Learn how to build around them. If I need more information in the video, let me know. Feel free to leave a comment. Tell me if I did bad, well, whatever. Just I enjoy the feedback. I appreciate the feedback. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button. And drop a comment. But I will see you guys later. Deuce. I usually do. I like it.
Left tower is under attack.
It's been doing monster work for me whenever I play.
Could use something with more kick.
An enemy has been slain.
You get a little bit of extra survivability because you get more health. The slow helps for everybody on the team. Makes it easier to like guarantee Krakens.
The seas of this awaits you.
Makes it easier for everybody else to land their abilities.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
Kicking double shell.
Okay.
Cowabunga.
Attack middle tower.
Wow. Castic has to be fucking pissed. He just walked right into that with his passive.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Motherfucker flew in just to get Kraken. I wasn't even aiming for him.
Love a good
You have slain an enemy.
The fire giant.
I basically one-shot that bitch.
On my way.
I must
Attack fire giant.
world too early now.
I really did hit that bitch for a lot of fucking damage. God damn.
Not on my the seas of this awaits you.
They didn't
How he did not steal that, I don't know.
It's a 50-50 when it's on the moment it's on the actual, like, there's one other person, it's a 50-50. You have no idea who's going to get it. There's no way to tell. Not with latency.
You think they should bring Hog back?
I think they should bring some sort of, like, Goal Fury secure in some way, shape, or form.
I feel like it made the game unfun when it was around.
Nah. The only problem was that it was like forced on supports, so supports had to buy it every game. So you had to like focus. You had to like rely on someone on your team that might not even buy it. There's other ways you could put it in there. Yeah, it's because Loki. It's not that like those characters are better. It's just that those characters are easier to play. That's where it comes down to. Persephone is really fucking hard, and the average player is better at Set, Nemesis, Loki, Hebo, and those other characters more than they are good at Persephone.
Attack!
To be fair.
Fuck.
Attack middle lane. Your left tower is under attack. Your team, your left tower has
Wait, my soul is level 16.
tower is under attack.
You can roam around
Ultimate
a lot.
is ready.
To be fair, me and you are really high level.
Oh man, come on!
Surprise I can fight.
Our fucking tanks decided they didn't want to tank.
Here, this new tech should help out.
That was very bad.
We got it. Just gotta back out now.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy Phoenix.
To the vanguard.
An ally has been slain.
Come back in to slow them for you.
I should be okay. I have to beads. Jump, I will.
To the vanguard.
When you keep thinking you're gonna push me into your team,
Love to fight.
like, I'm literally trying
Your
out.
middle tower has been destroyed.
He tried the same shot on me twice in a row. It didn't work.
I'm assuming they're on my speed.
They're on red.
Okay.
Your left tower
I'm looking
is
for
under
the store
attack.
though. He's out. Awkwardly enough.
Admiral, this is for you.
Not on my ship. The seas of this Olympic sea.
Be right back.
Surprise I can fight.
Tower is under attack. Out of water.
Oh yeah, they fucking nerfed the shit out of that hammer. So,
What hammer?
or it's
Sledge?
No, in another game.
Oh,
Love a good fight.
World of Warcraft. Ugh.
No, it was Godfall.
Oh,
On my way.
It was the hammer that slowed down time on enemies.
The seas of this
They made it so it
Olympic sea.
doesn't work on bosses anymore, or mini bosses, and it only lasts for 15 seconds. Yeah, they made that shit
On
trash.
my way. Enemy,
he's in there.
enemy incoming.
dude, juke the fuck out of this guy.
There was a 9 99.95% chance that they would win.
I'm on the gun. Till
Our team is too split up because they want to do 7 different things. They just got surrounded.
Oh man, they need some help. Here, this new tech should help out. An enemy has been slain. Hey man, you kicked major shell.
Retreat now!
What happened to you? I got a Thor ult, Nike ult.
Well, our team like moved simultaneously on the both the sides, and they chased you guys while I was kind of in the middle, and I just got fucking sandwiched.
Of my trident!
None. I played it all day today. I said I was most likely not playing it on stream tonight.
Attack! Fire giant! My way! Okay. Ultimate is ready! Your
Nah,
right
that
tower
hammer
is
needed
under
to get
attack.
nerfed. That hammer definitely needed to get nerfed. That shit was broken. It trivialized most of the content and literally became the best item in the game as a secondary.
They didn't have a very high IQ.
Attack!
An enemy has been slain.
Attack!
Oh.
Middle range. Attack the Titan!
the seas of this awaits you.
On my way! Walk the plank! On my way!
Cannons away!
I am turtle power.
Not a good fight. So much.
Yo.
Full speed ahead.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy phoenix.
That's what I'm saying. Why the fuck don't we just end the game?
Yo, where the fuck is our team? We can end the game right now.
They're trying to kill the
They
fucking...
didn't have a very high IQ.
The what's her name?
Just like
Living
disabling
way.
Help, 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 help.
Not on my ship.
An enemy has been slain.
Fight.
Okay, let's just end the game.
People should be
Oh my god, the pre-beads. I fucking nutted with that
You
kill.
are the brains of the operation.